Hello and welcome to my From the Air series. In this second video where we visit the Somme, we're going to visit Beaumont Hamel and the Newfoundland Park. As you can see, my takeoff point is right on the Hawthorn ridge in the middle of no man's land, not far from the Hawthorn redoubt. Directly ahead of me, Beaumont Hamel, and to my right we've got Y Ravine. The Hawthorn Ridge crater was detonated directly under the Hawthorn redoubt, and we'll see that in the video, although unfortunately over the years it's been allowed to become overgrown with trees, so you can't actually see the crater from the air. You can only get to see it by actually on the ground and going into all the shrubbery. The present day Newfoundland Park is outlined here, and we do get to fly directly over the top of it. On the first day of July 1916, the opening of the Battle of the Somme, tragedy struck here when the Newfoundland battalions took incredibly heavy losses, something like 97% casualties, before they actually reached their own front line. Tragic decision was made to leave communication trenches to move forward. My flight path, as you can see here, takes us right over Y Ravine and the Hawthorn Ridge. We're now looking slightly west of north, and as we pan to the right, we're roughly in line with the British front line. On the horizon we can see across towards Sayre and Sheffield Wood. British front line runs directly ahead and is literally marked out by a line of cemeteries. Just to the right of the shot now, that circular clump of trees, which we'll fly towards in a moment, is actually the Hawthorn Ridge crater. And the small cemetery down at 5 o'clock there is Hawthorn Ridge British Commonwealth War Grave Cemetery. Beaumont Hamel is the little village there in that small valley. This was filmed in August 2016, so exactly 100 years since the events that unfolded here. Beaumont Hamel itself was an objective for the first day of the Somme, but it was something like 3 months before it was eventually captured at terrific losses. Now going to move and fly forward towards the crater itself. We're directly over no man's land, coming towards the German front lines. It's hard to imagine what this scene would have looked like on the 1st of July 1916. Certainly no man's land would have had lines of infantry looking like they were simply lying down. In actual fact, many of them dead, thousands wounded. This is the Hawthorn Ridge crater. As I can say, you can see the shape of it, but you can't really see the actual crater itself. It's completely overgrown. That was the site of the Hawthorn Ridge redoubt. The interesting thing about the German redoubts is they projected outwards into no man's land, and it gave the Germans ability to fire their machine guns not just across towards the British lines, but actually parallel to them, down no man's land, both left and right. So any infantry advancing across no man's land not only faced machine guns ahead of them, but machine guns to left and right, firing directly down no man's land. Beaumont Hamel there in the distance. You can see how their land just rolls slightly there. And as we come round to the right, we start to get a clear view of what is now called Newfoundland Park. It holds the best preserved trenches upon the Somme battlefield. We're now looking directly along the front line. British would have been to the right, Germans more or less directly under us, the German front line. And Newfoundland Park there can be seen as being outlined by that ring of trees, and we'll now fly towards it. The first feature we see, we've got the field that's under crops the darker green one, and just beyond that we've got what was called Y Ravine. When we look at it on trench maps, we can clearly see, in fact right now, you can start to see the shape of the letter Y there, the top of a letter Y. It's known as Y Ravine, and those German communication trenches coming forward from Beaumont Hamel, which was in the rear. We're also starting to see clearly now the German front line trench, just in front of the clump of trees in the foreground. There's a couple of memorials there. But see the shape of the trenches. Never build a trench in a straight line, because if a shell lands in it, the blast will travel along it. And also, if an enemy machine gunner gets into it, they can fire along it. You can see the ravine, top of Y Ravine, and a communication trench leading forward to the front line trench. And then we've got no man's land. And the next trench across no man's land is Wellington Street. Now this trench map, I've reversed it, it's upside down, so you can actually see it exactly as we're seeing it from the air. The red is the German front line, you can see Y Ravine, and the blue line at the top, Wellington Trench, there it is in the distance now, the middle distance. There's a lone tree just behind it, and a communication trench to the right, and a second line trench there before the final trees. That lone tree is as far as the Newfoundlanders got. As you can see, it's still behind their own front line. As the Newfoundlanders move forward from the clump of trees along communication trenches, they found them completely choked with wounded, men trying to get back, men trying to get forward. So someone gave the fatal order to leave the communication trench and move over open ground. They were on a deadline to be the next wave in the attack, and they just didn't want to miss that deadline. Unfortunately, this was in broad daylight, an open view of the German machine gunners. There's Lone Tree in the middle, slightly left to centre, Wellington Trench in the front. We can see shell holes everywhere. And the second line trench there, very, very clear. Right in the middle, just above centre, is the Newfoundland Memorial. Any visit to the Somme today really should take in this Newfoundland Park. There's a very good visitor centre, and you can actually see and go in the line of some of these trenches. Very clearly defined. We're now looking towards, in the distance, in the dip, is the village of Hamel, and beyond that we've got the Teepval Memorial. We're looking towards Albert direction. As we pan round, we've got the very clearly defined second line trench, and then Wellington Trench to the left of the Lone Tree. A cemetery, Canadian cemetery, just in that clump of trees, and we swing round looking towards Beaumont Hamel now and the German front line, and we're now moving in the direction that the Newfoundlanders would have tried to advance. %97 casualties before reaching their own front line. Horrendous. That was the first day of the Somme, 1st of July 1916. Thank you for watching this short video. If you've enjoyed it, I hope you've actually not just enjoyed it, but learned something from it. Please visit my YouTube channel. It's simply called Stephen Upton. It's my intention to post more videos as and when I make them. We're looking literally along the line of the German front line now. Along Hawthorn Ridge, Beaumont Hamel. Thank you very much for watching.